Blockchain for Digital Transformation of Nations. Moderated by Jimmy and Nguyen, BSV Blockchain Association. With Saeed Muhammad Ali Alhebsi, University of Sharjah. Dana Al-Salem, Advisor, Spice VC. Simit Naik, nChain. And Ahmed Yousif, Blackstone Data Solutions.
Good afternoon, everyone. Give our exciting panel a round of applause. Yes. Hi, Michael in the crowd. I have a correction to make. I think they made an error. Saeed is not with the University of Sharjah. He is with the UAE Ministry of Human Resources and Emeritisation. But I'm sure he would love to get another degree from the University of Sharjah, wouldn't you?
Thank you.
Yes. So we are here to talk about use of blockchain at a very big scale and level, making it really useful to transform digitally entire countries, entire nations. If you were with us yesterday for the BSV Hour of Sessions, you learned a lot about the BSV blockchain. Really briefly, we're scaling bigger than any other public chain, which is why BSV is so useful for these national scale, country level blockchain projects. Low transaction fees of a 20th to 100th of a cent, and the technical capabilities you would expect of all blockchains with the transparency of a public ledger. The low transaction fees are something that is really important. We'll talk about with our panel. If you want to have entire healthcare, transportation, IoT systems on blockchain for a whole country, it needs to be efficient and cheap in transactions. This is what it is on BSV, not 20, 40, 80 US dollars, such as it can be on the Ethereum network. And we've seen a lot of public sector uses such as this, which we'll talk about for blockchain in digital currency and payments. On BSV, we're seeing everything from healthcare applications such as this VX Pass tracking COVID vaccinations on the blockchain, deployed in Africa, including the country of Lesotho in the bottom of Africa, and a cargo tracking mechanism called Dominium Marine that has been deployed in Sierra Leone to make more efficient the process of tracking goods from the marine port into land, and most importantly for governments, increasing the speed at which they can collect customs tax. That is super, super duper important. And you'll hear a little bit today about the Tuvalu National Digital Ledger, which is a project that one of our companies represented is working on to take the small island nation of Tuvalu in the South Pacific and actually move all of their government and citizen records to the blockchain on BSV. Those are some of the examples of exciting things happening. With that, I'm going to turn to our panel now and talk about what they do. So why don't we have everyone introduce themselves briefly and your role in the world of blockchain. We'll start with Ahmed.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmed. I lead the BSV Blockchain for Government Initiatives in Middle East. What does that mean? It means that BSV is taking the lead in introducing blockchain to the government. And based in Saudi Arabia right now, and I worked in projects with the Saudi government and government in the region, introducing blockchain and accelerating the blockchain adoptions in the government and commercial projects.
All right, Simit.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Simit Naik. I'm the Director of Commercial and Strategy at nChain. nChain is a research and development company based out of Zug, Switzerland, with offices in London and Slovenia. My role at nChain is to look at how we can leverage the benefits of public blockchains in particular to help to deliver economic and social transformation at the government level. My main focus is on the concept of central bank digital currencies, how we can use blockchain to also facilitate more efficiencies in cross-border payments and remittances, and how we can use blockchain technology to deliver the concept of digital government services.
Saeed.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Saeed Alhebsi. I am from Ministry of Human Resource and Emeritisation, AI Advisory and Project Manager in the Ministry. My main focus to enable the technologies like AI and blockchain in the government side and bring the solution plus the knowledge to the government.
And of course, I saved the best for last. Donna, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Donna Al Salem. I am a serial entrepreneur, investor, and now I advise a lot of governments, so the subject of blockchain is very relevant. I also sit on a few boards, and one of them is a blockchain board of a fund, a Spice fund, Spice VC. So this is why I'm here today.
Awesome. So let's focus our conversation today on making blockchain useful. I know we're here at AIBC and there's a lot of projects out there. We are not here to talk about how you will get rich buying a cryptocurrency. Quite the opposite. We are all on this stage as believers in the power of blockchain as data infrastructure to bring about a more honest and efficient world, including at the government levels. So we'll start with Simit, because Simit, obviously people associate blockchain with payments. You do a lot of work with central bank digital currencies. Why don't you tell us about that and how that can transform governments, and I'll move slides for you.
Sure. So central bank digital currencies is gaining a lot of traction at the moment, primarily because there's a threat from the private sector in terms of private money and stablecoins and cryptocurrency itself. But we also got to consider what the main driver for CBDC is. It's to digitize cash. It's to help people who don't have access to bank accounts to participate in a digital economy. And it's there to drive financial inclusion. And the driver for CBDC varies across the world. The driver for CBDC in Western and developed countries is very different to the driver for CBDC in a developing world. And so at nChain and in a lot of the conversations we have, we're very clear in terms of what it is we're looking to do and how we're looking to do it. And so the first thing is to kind of define what we mean by money. And so defining the term money is important because it then helps us to have the conversations about how do we help to deliver CBDC, how do we help to deliver tokenized assets and commodities, how do we deliver the ability to do atomic trading of different types of asset classes. And so the first concept is what we call digital cash. And digital cash is, very simply a digital form of notes and coins. So the notes and coins we hold in our wallet, digital cash is just a digital representation of that. And that form of money is very different to the form of money we hold in accounts. And what we hold in our accounts is what we term money. And so not only do we have technology that allows us to digitize cash, we also have an approach to digitize money. And the different use cases for cash and money then give you an idea as to why these concepts are so important and what we can do. So when we think about digital cash, think about it as a cash token. You hold it yourself. You don't need to have any intermediaries to hold or use. So very much like cash. But the use cases for digital cash are very specific. Primarily, it's for retail CBDC, so a CBDC for payments. When we talk about monetary systems, digital cash actually allows us to create an M0 system. Digital money, on the other hand, helps us to model the type of money we hold in accounts, either with our banks or financial institutions or fintechs. And there's a lot more flexibility with what we can do with digital money. But the most important thing is to understand how these two concepts interoperate and how they help to facilitate the different use cases we can deliver. And so with digital cash, very much focused on delivering a token-based cash system to the developing world to allow people in Africa to hold the digital version of the Lassie or the Liberian dollar or the Guinean franc using their mobile phones. It gives us penetration up close to 100%. And it's very important in those countries because they don't have access to bank accounts. And so digital cash allows us to ensure we can deliver the services to those countries. And digital money is what we use across Africa as well to provide the tokenized assets and commodities like oil and gold. We use that to then provide a bit more stability to the economy. Digital money is then something we can help to provide resilience from external shocks. And so our suite of software allows us to manage those two different types of money solutions.
Okay, fantastic. So Donna, we've been talking now about a digital form of cash or money. You work across many types of countries. I like to say there's big power in small payments, being able to send small amounts of money. Tell us about how countries can use blockchain technology, especially micropayments, to create more efficiency in financial services and how that helps underrepresented groups.
Yes, so in terms of underrepresented groups, I just wanted to make a note about women and their representation around the world, because it isn't necessarily in specific geographic zones where you find underrepresented people. It's globally. And so just as an example, right, 2% only of US women actually captured the funds that were invested by VC. So there is a gap here. And a report just came out a few days ago that actually said that closing the gender gap in the GCC in North Africa would add 2.7 trillion US dollars to the region's economy by 2025. So it is also important to talk about women in here. So I would say that basically it's about inclusion. Blockchain allows inclusion by by facilitating micro payments, transparency, and facilitating processes. And just on a couple of, I have a few examples I want to share. So 70% of the world's population lacks access to land registry filing. And according to the United Nations, women own less than 20% of the world's land.
Wow, so women own less than 20% of the world's land, at least on paper,
yes,
right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and this is due to several factors. One is, the discrepancies between laws within countries, patriarchal power, and insufficient enforcement of land laws, right? With blockchain, there's no, organization, government official, or male relative could deny that a piece of land belonged to a woman. So that's the transparency and the ledgers we're talking about. Another fact, personal records. So according to the World Bank, women in developing countries are less likely than men to hold an official ID. So this is also where, blockchain can play a role.
Yeah, it makes it easier for women to have a personal ID.
Exactly, because that then entitles them to own land and to open bank accounts, right? So empowering, women around the world. And then finally, in terms of payments, so back to your micro lending example, 42% of women globally are unbanked. So
42% of women globally do not have bank accounts.
Correct.
It's a big number.
It is a big number. So this is also where, obviously, blockchain can be helpful.
Yeah, because they could transact with just a mobile wallet.
Yeah. Exactly. They can have a digital ID given to them, and smart contracts backing up, their ownership of land or assets, and then that also enables them to have bank accounts. So this is something that can help.
Great. Fascinating. Saeed, let's turn to you. You work with the ministry here in the UAE that's overseeing human resources as well as the Emeritization program. Tell us about how there may be benefits by moving data that your ministry keeps and tracks about jobs, career development skills for people. How does that benefit from being put on the blockchain?
Yeah, sure. Jim, actually, I want to start as a ministry. We are following the UAE strategic in the blockchain and AI strategic, which is announced by the government 2018. One of the major strategic pillars they are building on the efficiency of the government transaction, plus the creation of the industrial and the international leadership in the AI and blockchain technology. We, as a Ministry of Human Resource, we have at least 800,000 company registered in our ministry, and we have more than 7 million labor in our country. This all tremendous, huge data should be used to build an statistic and studies how we can improve our government efficiency, plus how we can improve our economy. So the data where we start now as a government to focus on to build it and powered by blockchain technologies. But in terms to reach to this stage, we start before to enable the knowledge to the ministries as a first step. And here we go to start up to build a partnership with the entities like BSV,
Yeah.
We have partnership for the knowledge partnership. Then we can go further for the applications of blockchain technologies.
Yeah, so we've been fortunate through our association to be the blockchain knowledge partners for the ministry that Saeed represents, and have been educating hundreds of their executives about the use of the blockchain to improve government data processes. Let's turn to Ahmed, because Ahmed, you've got an interesting history in Saudi Arabia, especially with evaluating how blockchain technology can improve the Hajj experience. Tell our audience who may not know what the Hajj is and how you've been thinking about use of blockchain to improve it.
Thank you for this question. So for those who doesn't know what the Hajj is a pilgrimage journey from all around the world come to Saudi Arabia, to Mecca. And that's before COVID, the pandemic. It was about average of 3 million people coming in a time period of 15 days to come and do activities and moving from one geographical location to another within period of 3 days. So require a lot of logistics, a lot of services that need to be digitalized. So it created the ministry. There's a ministry called Ministry of Hajj, which is visitors and tourisms that coming to Saudi Arabia targeting this spiritual journey, but also to make it easier for the people who are traveling from the world for this short period of time. They created called the digital journey of Hajj. And this requires a lot of services. Services start before the visitor come to the country, services that come during the visitor and the Hajj in the country, and services that required after the person leaves. So require a lot of collaboration between entities and government entities and private sectors. And so we identified a journey that has, as a multiple services that's up to 18 services, hospitality services and visa, and there's multiple agencies that involve in this journey. So we identify one layer that it is most important, which is the hospitality, and we decided that let's try it as a POC and see how that will help. And usually used to issue for this 3 million a permit or a journey take about 3 months preparation before the Hajj come to the country. Actually 1 year, but 3 months for the process itself. So that reduced when it's moved to the blockchain into 20 minutes, from 3 months to 20 minutes. That's one service. But imagine the rest of the services. So the Saudi government, they have been trying and working in a lot of digital transformation journey and digital transformation areas. And for the people who visit there, or people who go work there, they can see this clearly. There's a lot of things that happening that it is actually phenomenal in a short period of time. That's how digital transformation accomplish a lot of things in a short period of time.
Donna, let's go back to you. You travel a lot around the world because and also host a lot of governments. You're the daughter of a diplomat. Your father was Kuwait's ambassador to France for many years. So of the countries you experience, which are the ones that you think will benefit most from the transparency and infrastructure data benefits of blockchain? And can you give us any examples?
Yeah, so I think all of them can benefit, but what it's about is clearly looking at the political strategy and the objectives of the country itself. So, for example, we may be talking about this a little bit later, but one of the countries I advise is the country of Panama. And 40% of the GDP of Panama comes from the Panama Canal, which is a major supply chain logistics hub. They have 14,000 ships that go through every year. So, for example, using blockchain for transparency, monitoring shipments and shipping, that is a great example, for a country and what to look at. But it really is about identifying where the country wants to go with it. So, for example, quite a few countries are already doing land registry, right? A lot of them are already doing that. but they're doing it for different reasons, and that's important to identify. So, for example, Sweden implemented it, but they did it for to accelerate, to create transparency and accelerate real estate transactions. And they basically have announced that it's cut back on like 90% less time now to buy something in Sweden. On the other hand, Honduras, who applied the same thing, actually applied it to get rid of corruption. So understanding, why countries want to implement blockchain and where they want to implement is important.
Saeed, let's go back to you. From your discussions with other government ministries besides the Human Resources and Emiratization Ministry, what are other top ways you foresee a nation like the UAE implementing blockchain technology at a government level?
Actually, here's one very good point. I can mention it. Our society is very acceptable for the change because as a government, we start this journey 2000 actually, as to turn the government as a smart government, then as an e-government, then we came as a smart government, and now we are want to enabling the blockchain and AI technologies. So within this 20 years, as a society and as a government, as employees in the government, we adapted for this changes from long time. So we accepted that every time there is something new will come, something challenging new is coming, we need to implement some new tools on it. For example, we as a ministry, we started to enabling our employees for the blockchain technologies and AI. There is another also ministry doing the same. Actually, as a federal manner, there is a program called Future Leadership Program, which is built to enable the employees from the government to the AI technologies and in overall for industrial revolution. So this is all movement from the government, not in the individual. It is as a systematic things.
Okay. Simit, can you tell us in 1 or 2 minutes what's happening with the Tuvalu project, which I mentioned earlier? What exactly is nChain doing to move to the BSV blockchain for the country?
Sure. Okay. So very quickly, it's important to understand what the challenges are in Tuvalu, which will then explain why blockchain makes sense. So Tuvalu is an island nation in the Pacific made up of 9 disparate islands. They're the lowest lying islands in the world. So they're at severe risk of climate change and the impact of climate change. So even 1 millimeter rise in seawater has a detrimental impact to the sovereign nation. And so what they want to do is prepare for the eventuality of moving the whole nation to another series of islands. So they want to create a digital society. And so there's 2 things we're doing there: digitizing their cash or money so citizens can hold it in an electronic form, but also to digitize the government registries. So everything from healthcare to identity to education, birth certificates, citizenship details. So in the eventuality that they do need to move, that data exists. It's very easy to, it's portable, it's easily able to follow them around. But more importantly, it creates transparency. Transparency then helps them with their objective of getting foreign investment in. It helps to improve inclusion. People are now starting to be participating in the digital economy. And so that's why blockchain makes sense.
Yeah, when you may have to move people, as we're seeing now with the Ukraine situation, or my life history being a child of a Vietnamese immigrant refugee family, having data accessible more easily, not through a physical server, is very, very important in today's modern age. Let's go to Ahmed. Ahmed, really briefly, can you tell us how you foresee using the BSV blockchain to advance some of the interests of Saudi Vision 2030, right, to digitize the country, especially with IoT and smart city technology?
Well, of course, BSV has the 2 most important characteristics and features that most people with large projects are looking for: the scalability and the low transaction fees. So this is one of the key factors in the decision-making process in a lot of projects that we were evaluating. So recently we start having a conversation and discussion with a entity, the Royal Commission of Riyadh City, that to implement a smart city model that is going to have blockchain-enabled infrastructure in many aspects. The first aspect is the infrastructure layer, where they want to evaluate the transactions and the vehicles that coming into the specific districts, the DQ they call it, which is the diplomatic quarter, where there's a gated community access, the number of cars, other things. So they want to explore the vehicle-to-vehicle communication and vehicle-to-infrastructure communications, where they want to see the cars, the traffics and security, and how many cars come in this area. So this is the direction that the Vision 2030 is moving, or at least one aspect of that. There's services, there is the citizen incentives. Also, this is a small area that they can do the citizen incentivized blockchain services, where when it comes to garbage collections, traffic, driving your car a specific time of the day to reduce traffic, and some other ways that the service could be. So in our role as in Middle East, introducing government projects using blockchain, especially BSV blockchain, we try to educate first, show them the possibility of this technology. This is the most powerful blockchain out there that could be actually utilized for commercial, for government services that actually people can get the benefit from. There's over 1,000 projects in BSV blockchain, and a year ago I didn't know anything about it, and now I'm very excited to talk to people about it when I sit to the government and talking to, because this is not just about crypto. This is not just about transferring financial assets. This is actually about useful projects that people can benefit from. People on the stage here mentioned, like Donna mentioned, that there's a lot of issue with when it comes to transparency, corruption, bureaucracy. All of this, the blockchain could do. But having the power of BSV, and that will make this transformation even faster and sooner than we can expect.
Well, we're excited to have you on Team BSV, Ahmed. Donna, so we've talked about all the good things, but what are concerns or issues that government representatives raise when faced with implementing blockchain technology?
Yeah. So I don't know if you're facing the same thing in Saudi, but we have to remember that for the last 2 years, most of the countries, at least the ones I collaborate with, have been in a state of emergency, and they've been focusing on health and safety. Some of the countries are economically swept, they are on their knees, millions of jobs lost, and they've been focusing on creating new jobs in the sectors and propping their country back up with FDI. So I would say the first challenge is the cost of implementation, right? So not all governments actually have the funds to implement massive, blockchain solutions, perhaps on a small targeted area, but maybe not across the board. So that's one of them. The other thing is, using again the example of land registry, you actually have to go back sometimes to the 17th century to archive, collect, clean up, digitize all the data.
Old data.
It's a massive undertaking. So I guess what I'm saying is sometimes we just have to remember certain countries are struggling with just propping themselves back up after the pandemic. So cost, time spent, those are types of issues. The other ones is, concerns about privacy policy, right?
Privacy, yeah. Saeed, how do you confront that with, talking to governments about using a public blockchain like BSV versus staying in permissioned ledgers like Hyperledger or private databases?
Actually, Jimmy, it's beginning with the knowledge. How government being knowledgeable about the blockchain users and what is the risks in the public blockchain and what is the can be faces. If we go back a long time back, the cloud was very issue for the country because they are maintain their data to be within their sovereign. Then afterwards, because the market and the economy is needed to use the cloud chain, then everything is accepted. Blockchain technology is the same. It's only matter of the time that all the governments that accepted that public blockchain, as matter as be secure data to them, they will be accepted to implement this application.
Yeah, and Simit, last question to you. What do you tell government representatives? Because you talk to a lot. You've been talking to people in West Africa recently, as well as other regions of the world, about why BSV is a good choice for them for their applications.
Yeah, sure. So alongside our partners, RT Core, we're very much focused on West Africa and working with the central banks to improve financial inclusiveness. But with any technology, you have to get that balance right. So the government needs transparency, they need traceability, but individuals still need to have privacy. And so the public blockchain, it is a misconception that everything that exists on a public blockchain is public visible.
Yes.
It's not, you know, you can
Not
still...
everything on a public blockchain has to be public.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, the other misconception is that public blockchains provide anonymity. It doesn't. It provides privacy and pseudo-anonymity.
Yes.
And so we can still balance what a central bank wants, which is, you know, full transparency of where money is and, you know, how money is being used, but we still provide, you know, the safeguards to an individual so they can still have that privacy. And privacy is important, especially in a lot of countries around the world where cash is the only form of value that they have access to and the only form of value that they can exchange without having, you know, the ability for government to stop. And so we have to get that balance right. And a public blockchain is the only way we can guarantee that. You can't do that on a private system. You can't do that on a private blockchain. And so a public blockchain is the only system that can safeguard privacy as well as traceability.
Right. And to wrap up, I'm going to ask each of you to say in 15 seconds or less, what is the best thing you hope blockchain brings to one of the countries you love? Ahmed.
Well, utilizing the cost and reduce that cost and making the data available for citizens first. I'm not centralized or decentralized, but it's also using that mentality of bringing the power back to the citizen, back to the data creator, the content creator. That's the true power of blockchain I wanted to see.
Got it. Simit.
So spending time in West Africa and with Tuvalu, I can see the power of technology to help people leapfrog, to be able to take advantage of technology, to be more prosperous as a nation, but to give people the ability to participate in the digital economy, which is going to be so important in this generation and the generation after in order to address things like poverty, you know, socio-economic transformation. And so that's where I see the benefit of blockchain.
Saeed.
Me, as coming as a government, I think the government efficiency as a transaction efficiency. So I think this is the main where the blockchain can add value for the government itself.
Right. And Donna.
Actually, all of them said more or less what I was going to say, but I'd probably add another one, which is to create new trade relationships between countries.
Create new trade relationships with...
Between countries.
Oh, between countries.
That don't exist today.
Yes, that would be great. Well, we hope that vision comes true. There'll be a lot of work that's necessary to do it. We believe you need a massively scalable, efficient, low-cost chain to do it. And we hope, if you're interested, that you will explore doing it on Bitcoin SV. And we're working with the Saudi Digital Academy to launch the kingdom's first ever BSV Blockchain Academy in Pakistan. We were there recently and signed a MOU with the Presidential Initiative for AI and Computing, as well as the Pakistan Freelancers Association, to bring this type of education to their nations. If you want to learn more, come visit us at our big global convention back here in Dubai on May 24th and 26th, the BSV Global Blockchain Convention. You can find out information at globalblockchainconvention.com. Let's give a round of applause to our great panel that talked to us about blockchain for transforming nations. Thank you very much. I'm staying up here because I get to moderate the next half of our BSV hour. So as they go off stage, let me welcome to the stage my next set of presenters. And let's all give Donna an special round of applause for coming to us with an injured foot. Thank you for making it all the way. Only Donna Al-Salam can look glamorous with a foot cast. As she always does. Next, we're going to move to the use of blockchain in more digital forms, not just for entire countries, but for identity, metaverse, and creating better, smarter communities. Let me welcome to the stage our panelists for that. Come on up. I see some of you out there. We're going to have up with us Dereck Hoogenkamp, who's the chairman of many, many companies you'll find, including Yalla Limited, as well as Palm Fusion Technology. Dr. Mohammed Hemairy, who is the head of Technology Transfer Office and in the Research Outreach Department of the University of Sharjah. Joining us also, hello, Dr. Mohammed. Let's give them a round of applause. We've had more people coming up, yay. Next coming up now is Vasilisa Marinchuk, who's Director of International Relations and Engagement for the Centre Blockchain de Catalunya. Please give her a round of applause. Always awesome to have Vasilisa. And next, and finally, is Wahab, who's the Director of Engineering with our team at the BSV Blockchain Association. Hello, all. Good to see you. All right. We talked a bit about BSV's capabilities. I won't repeat them, but the big things, remember, low cost. Blockchains do not work at massive scale if it's too expensive. You do not want to pay $40 or $80 to mint an NFT or to send transactions on the chain of data. You need low cost to make this all work. That is our key proposition. We're going to turn to Dr. Mohammed, who's going to talk to us about a project he's helping our association do at his university to improve the tracking of identity information in the form of academic and professional certifications. Dr. Mohammed, tell us about why that's important and what you're doing.
Thank you, Jimmy, for hosting us and also arranging this beautiful, gathering and information sharing. First of all, academic credentials are very important and critical documents. Okay, they are very important and critical documents. Everyone today needs the academic credentials. Either he's a student, or employee, or even employers, even the institutions who are issuing these credentials. On the other side, there are a lot of fake credentials spreading out around the world. Now we are, having this blockchain technology. We can, employ their features into avoiding these fake credentials. Recent study shows that there are more than 2 million fake academic credentials in the United States in circulation in the market.
How many is that?
2 million.
2 million fake academic credentials in the U.S.?
In the U.S. on yearly basis. There are more than 300 fake and non-existing academic institute as well issuing certificate in the United States, 270 in the United Kingdom, and about 30% from the new employees applying for a job in Australia having fake ID or fake credentials. So it is a global issue and increasing right now. So we thought that having this brilliant technology, blockchain, that we can employ its features. First of all, it's an immutable database, so we can, once you have a record that on a blockchain, it is stay there forever. It is also secure data. It can be hashed and can be encrypted. Also, it is working on decentralized environment, so nobody actually holding this data or having a sole ownership. So there is no single point of failure, which is very important when you, depends on one source of to supply your information or to verify an information. Where if there is a internal hack or there is even external hack, then they can really fake or they can duplicate data and so on. So the trust blockchain brings, allow us today to verify our credentials and academic certificate on a blockchain. And we can also add to it the equivalency, which is very important as well when you move from a country to country or from one company to another, or even if you want to, migrate to another country, you need to have your academic certificate verified, also equivalent to the standard of the country or the new company you are going. So here in University of Sharjah, we launched a project to establish a platform to verify and authenticate academic credentials, diplomas, even history of employment as well, which is also a subject of duplication and manipulation by many people, using a blockchain, BSV blockchain. BSV blockchain is one of the best choice for us from the technical point of view. For many reasons, it has more than 5,000 transactions per second, which, and can scale up to 100,000. There are more than 1,000 applications already built on the chain. The cost as well of transaction is very minimal, around 0.005 of dollar per kilobyte, which is very competitive. And also there are more than 20 industrial sectors already building their application of blockchain. The size of the block as well, which is 4 gigabyte right now, and 8 gigabyte is coming soon, which is allow us to having the credential, the transcript, and even having the certificate as NFT transferred onto BSV blockchain.
Fantastic. I can't wait to see the deployment of a test of this, hopefully at our big May conference in a couple of months. Dereck, let's go to you and talk about a different form of identity management from your hand and all the things you can do with it. And we have some videos to play when you're ready.
You want to do the video first? Or?
Sure. Do you want to go to the grocery store and pay?
So as we can see, it's a normal, she's asking for the payment system. What happens? That you have the palm of your hand. This is even the old system. It's fully contactless. It's GDPR compliant, PSD2 compliant, non-intrusive, live verification. And you pay immediately like this, just with your hand, without any contact. So you get the receipt on your phone, you can get a physical receipt, you can also do a second verification for their adaptability. So this is, for example, the technology. What does the technology do? The technology scans the veins inside your hand, it scans the 3D of your hand, and it scans the geometrics of your hand. So that is what it does. And it verifies live. So if you cut off my hand, it won't work. And you can also do combinations of the hand gestures, that if you get robbed, that you can send a silent alarm to the system, that everything is still going ahead, but the transaction is fraudulent. So this is, besides of non-privacy intrusive and contactless and COVID compliant PSD2 GDPR, it's, in my opinion, one of the best biometric solutions out there. And
you could do more than just pay, right?
Yeah.
What else can you do with the hand
Correct.
ID?
So one is the payment solution. Number two is, of course, the access control, which is very important. You can start your car, it's your key. It's, and then third of all,
so you can start a car, like a smart car with your hand.
A smart car, we already did it. You can start your car. It's also your password. It's also your passport. It's also your electronic ID. It is also your seat phrase. It is everything you have, right? And also what is very interesting, that it's non-privacy intrusive and non-intrusive. So also, because people have, for example, problems to give their face, or it's full contact with the finger, or with the eye, it's more complicated, it takes more time. So also to enroll is much more easier. And for this system, we can use, of course, different blockchains. And for example, we can use BSV, we can use nChain as a company, we can use many companies who support these systems. And this is really important because there's a lot of people ask me also where you store your data, where's the data going, how is it working? So it's fully working. We are already in version 3, and we're looking forward that the world will change to Palm Fusion technologies. And yeah, I would be really tired to have a boarding pass, to bring my passport, to bring my credit cards, to bring my keys, to bring everything. So it's also have a very sustainable and environmental impact. So because all plastic is gone, all wallets are gone, everything is being replaced. So it also is very good on a social aspect and on on an environmental aspect. So it's a great solution.
Awesome, and I know what you are, in talks with the nChain company who was represented at the last panel to explore use of BSV for various uses related to this, including logging all of the authentication acts, right? Each of those is a time-stamped entry to publicly verify, events.
Yes, correct. So that is because we are really good in the technology, but in the back, there needs to be more security, and especially the timestamp. When did somebody enroll? Where did somebody enroll? And that needs to be fully on the blockchain also.
Okay, fantastic. I can't wait to see more of this. Come to our event in May, end of May, and you'll hear more from Dereck. Vasilisa, so you really think about this a lot, given your work. How does blockchain-based identity management, how can it be useful to improve governance and democracy? Because I know that is a huge area of passion for you.
That's very much true, because one of the roles I hold in the Cbdc, in the Central Blockchain of Catalonia, is also leading the conference named Democracy for All Blockchain for Governance, which is dedicated very much to the identity issues. So, Jimmy, I would say that let's go simpler. How do I identify identity, right? So on the first part, like on a state level, it's our passports, our licenses, whatever, driving or whatever it is, ID cards. But on a larger level, our identity is not just these documents who represent us. Right. It's all the activities, all the data we create or we possess for some reason, health data, metadata, anything we create in the internet or in the metaverse now, right? Mm-hmm. So all of that is part of our identity. So let's say on the global level, on the government level, which they care mostly, is this piece of paper right now, which is not even safe, which can be faked very often. Blockchain comes super handy. And on top of that, imagine the KYC process right now, how painful it can be for everybody, especially when the world is so big and we're coming from the different parts of that world. With the blockchain, putting all this information into the digital wallet or whatever we call it, and lots of governments are already looking into that, but let's say, guys, if you're not considering blockchain as a part of that technology, you're risking too much. It's, the risk of fake documents will be even higher. So the security, transparency, authenticity of this document in the digital wallet will be only saved by the blockchain. And imagine that how many transactions all of us will do when we present this document.
Yes.
It's millions and billions of people every second, every minute going through a certain way of verification in their bank, in the store, in the government office, here, there, something, I'm taking a credit, doesn't matter. So this blockchain should be very much scalable and also interoperable with the different systems, because we also operate in a trustless environment. Think about the cross-border operations. So when a person from one part of the world goes to another part of the world, these documents should be recognized by these parties. And they must trust each other and to those companies or whatever, the government offices who issued these documents. So right now we have our international passports, which is more or less is going around the world, but this is so old-fashioned right now. So we understand how obsolete is the system. So now with the new digital documents, which very soon I think is going to be already there by 2030, more or less, even the European Union is targeting 2030 as when they have their digital documents for at least 80% of their population. Same probably is happening in America. I assume Middle East is looking into the same technologies. So we need to look into blockchain. On the other hand, let's look into the more, let's say, human side of the question, what we said, that our identity is much more than just a document. It's all the data which we possess. Currently, lots of people are not even realizing still how much data they have and what value this data represents. So we said about microtransactions, for example. If I want to share my geolocation, my health data, anonymously, of course, and here we have
get paid a little money for it.
Zero-knowledge technology is a must, but zero-knowledge technology is based on blockchain, right? And also, if we want to share, donate, or sell our data, again, that's microtransactions. We're not going to have a lot because we watched the movie or we read this book. It's going to be, I don't know, less than a cent.
And that's why we believe BSV is a solution for that. The
very much. That's so true.
All right, Jad, let's turn to you. So you used to work at the nChain company, which is a leading blockchain R&D tech firm. What are some of the unique ID management solutions you've seen developed there that you can talk about using the BSV blockchain?
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot of research and work been done around identity management solutions, and that goes to very similar to what Vasilisa said. So your identity is basically the aggregation of all the data that is around you, and moving towards Web 3.0, where basically a lot of the information about you lives on the blockchain, where it's not owned by separate platform providers, like for example Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you want to post an image, for example, on one of those platforms, it's in a separate walled garden for each of those. And in the direction that we're going with Web 3.0, you would only post your picture once, and that would go on the blockchain, and then the platform providers would aggregate that data, curate it, and then present it to you. So in a sense, you own your data on the blockchain, and then these service providers would just aggregate all of the data that you have about yourself. And that if you have protocols that are interoperable, different types of data about you can be aggregated together. So you can have your work data, the data for your university life, different types of data could be aggregated to build a centralized identity for yourself.
All right, let's go to the metaverse. And we're going to show a video from one of the other projects Dereck is involved with, represented right there, Blockchain Valley Virtual. Hey, Nico, we're going to see you in a bit. I'm going to play this video, and then Dereck can
Yeah, I mean, Blockchain Valley, if you talk about realistic metaverse, Unreal 5 here. Can we put it louder?
Yeah, can I get volume on this, please?
Volume.
Thank you.
Okay, no volume, but normally the avatar is...
Real estate and metaverse. A one-to-one copy of our original project where we have an economy within an economy and where you can experience events, concerts, social contacts, NFTs, gamification, and much more from the comfort of your home. Let me take you on a little journey to show you my vision. Can you imagine that an NFT can be much more than an artwork? It can also be exclusive gadgets and wearables for your avatar. It can be an amazing exotic pet that you can feed and do fun stuff with. You can turn this NFTs in different skins for your avatar, collect art for your virtual home, and show it to your family and friends. You can turn yourself into a superhero or maybe even an alien. Blockchain Valley Virtual will be a decentralized platform where you can hook up with your friends and do fun stuff together, where you can play games, network, or even make your own business. Join us and be part of the future.
All right, so tell us about your involvement with Blockchain Valley and why we should all be interested in this world.
Yeah, because I believe in a virtual parallel twin and a triplet. So what does it mean? We are building the physical city and we are building the metaverse at the same time. So the metaverse and the physical city are aligned, are always in alignment. So it means when you change something in the virtual world, it changes in the real world. Or when you change it in the real world, it changes in the virtual world. And then you have the triplet, which is the gamification. But this is very important because when you have the metaverse as an exact parallel twin, you tackle a lot of problems. For example, facility management. For example, IoT. For example, speed, seamless, effectiveness, efficiency. You can integrate blockchain much more easier. You can also tokenize much more easier. You don't have to...
That was very loud, Nico.
See, they liked it so much, so the gods are speaking, no? So the thing is that you really have to think about it. Everything is digitalized, right? So what does it mean? That you don't have to, for example, everybody is talking about tokenization of real estate through putting a company on top. Then you're not tokenizing the real estate, you're tokenizing the company. If you put a parallel twin on the metaverse, you can really tokenize the real estate itself. So, and the good thing is you have the metaverse and the real estate at the same time. So that is fantastic. And what you do with the triplet is what everybody is doing, just gamification.
Yeah. And I know right now that project is not using BSV, but obviously would love to have you do that as we explore some more ways to work with you. Yeah.
Of course, that is the Nico is of course the owner, and he is. We'll talk about that. I am involved into the real estate because my background was creating new destinations all over the world, including here in Dubai. Yeah. And so that is why I'm super excited to create a new destination in Sofia, which is 2 million square meters, 10 minutes from Sofia city. And you see even that a lot of people who live in Sofia, they don't have a place to live, they think. And now they can live in nature next to the city. With same what happened here, for example, with Al-Barari.
But this is a great example of why you need a really scalable blockchain to power all that kind of data and NFTs and avatars. Really a lot of data capacity, really fast, low cost. Dr. Mohammed, tell us about any projects or ideas that are happening at your university for the metaverse and blockchain.
Okay. Actually, it seems you're well connected and knows a lot of our future projects. For Metaverse, we are working now on a project to preserve the culture of Arabic and Islamic communities. You know, the culture, the arts of Islamic and Arabic communities are very important and has value for the communities. So we think like this can be like lost or can be forgotten by after years and years. So we want to give this the opportunity to the future generation see our culture and see our values. So now we are trying to collect these culture, heritage, artworks into and digitize them, store them, and also allow them into a metaverse world, and also enable marketplace for those who want to do trading or maybe to sell it in auctions for the higher bidder as well, and also have an option to preserve the physical copy of that culture or customs either with them or within a national museums. So this metaverse with the blockchain enable us to do things that was not able to do in the future. And we also can send, create a bank of memory for what you are doing here as a parents to your grandson and grandsons in the future by storing these into the metaverse world.
It's a great phrase, a bank of memories on the blockchain. Right, yeah. Vasilisa, clearly metaverse is fascinating, but it can carry governance and other issues as we now move human activity into this digital environment. Tell us, what are some of those?
Correct. Well, there are two things. When you talk about the metaverse created for you by Facebook, there is no issues. Facebook will tell you and dictate you what to do and how to operate there. Who is in, who is out, what opinion is good and what opinion is bad. But when we're talking about real metaverse as a web-free shared internet of everything, that's when things become interesting, because there we have developers, creators, users, all sharing this environment, this economics, and they have to decide how they're going to be evolving, right? So the answer is DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations? Maybe. So when they can have a set of rules, how they operate, their rights, their responsibilities, what is allowed and what is not allowed in metaverse. Again, the economics by itself is also should be governed some way. And here we comes again to many transactions happening in this metaverse, because creators want to sell their NFTs, always selling land, or actually people are going to have their jobs, the full job market in the metaverse. It's actually, again, that was amazing, this city scale digital twin. It's going to be a city with actually digital metaverse citizens. How they going to govern themselves? So all these questions should be answered and asked and answered way before the metaverse goes live. How they going to co-create there? I think it's very important that we are very inclusive in this environment, that we are democratic, that we are sharing similar values, that we respect all the cultures which are coming there. So I would say that it's not easy. It's very fast and easy to go and say, I think it's going to be this way, and it's only one answer. But that's dictatorship. So we need to be more involvement, like give more involvement to people from coming all over the world to our metaverses, because it's a shared place.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, on BSV, there's a company in the United States called Transmira, which runs an AR and VR platform called Omniscape, which is really digging into this. They're working with a company called Aerometrics to 3D scan entire cities in a very detailed level. Here's a video of their scan of my hometown of Los Angeles, where literally entire buildings, streets, stadiums, hospitals will be scanned, and their future is creating opportunities for you to engage in these virtual environments, buy things at the store, go to a lecture at the University of Southern California, go to a sporting event at the formerly named Staples Center. That's the world they're working towards, and they needed, of course, a blockchain that could scale and with massive low-cost technical capabilities. Jad, can you give some examples of why you think companies who are here at AIBC should be looking at BSV as the place to build their metaverse?
Yeah, definitely. So I have a bunch of experience working in the blockchain space on different protocols, and one thing that's very unique about BSV is that the protocol is stable. So if you want to build, something that's business or any product or service, you can rely on the base layer being stable, and that way, moving forward, you can focus your time on improving your system, building out new features, instead of having to worry about, what the latest changes are being done to the protocol. So similar to the internet, this is like the plumbing layer. It shouldn't be changing, and if it's stable, you can build robust systems on top of it.
All right. In our final minutes, I want to focus on the more specific topic of smart cities and how blockchain can be useful for that. I know, Dereck, you don't like to call them smart cities. What do you like to call them, and why?
Yeah, I would like to call them conscious cities. And
Conscious
I have a
cities.
friend who is laughing at me now because he calls them the same.
Hi, George.
And why is that? Because I believe in trust. For example, a good example is a company called Yes We Trust, which is you also have to think about the spirit, the soul, the trust, and about quality of life. And you can reach that in conscious cities. The only way, and a really good example, is using blockchain for that also. And it's very important because I've created many new destinations in the world, and it's not only about smartness. Smartness is already old. It's about the integration and adaptability and how people feel about it too.
Where are you
and
trying
how people trust it.
Where are you trying to create a conscious city now?
We are already creating one part of it in Blockchain Valley in Sofia. Then I'm also busy in Thailand, in Pattaya, and in Phuket.
You're going to take me to visit, right?
Yeah, you're going to come to visit. And also there are other communities, for example, in Copenhagen, which Yes We Trust is doing trust points. And they have many. I also was with other people from US, which are here too. And they are also really know you really well and your company. And yeah, it's really happening, also for the good of the people.
Yeah. Dr. Mohammed, Smart Dubai, very important initiative here in Dubai. How do you foresee AI, blockchain, other digital data technologies being useful for Smart Dubai?
I think we will see more integration between IoT with AI and utilizing blockchain in the future. The Metaverse shopping mall will be very popular, so people will not go to the physical mall to see things or to waste time on the traffic to go and buy. You will see and have the same experience into the virtual environment. And also even the virtual school or Metaverse school, Metaverse universities as well will be a reality and something that we will live in the future. The traffic jam will be probably gone. We will not have this issue with the smart and intelligent system that can collect a real traffic, real time data from the traffic and send it to your car. If you have an autonomous car, then it redirect and change its routes seamlessly without any involvement of a human being. This is what will be the future. You're not gonna go yourself to do a lot of things. You'll send your car, which is like without a driver, to go to do the job and bring stuff to you. So we think this will be like the future. Already experienced by some of them here in Dubai, like an autonomous taxi in Dubai and also in Abu Dhabi. We see also the distance learning, remote learning from home, simulation that enable you to learn a lot of things, even practical, without being physically in a classroom. This is what the future will be looks like.
And Vasilisa, what do you want to see for smart cities in Europe?
I think especially Catalonia is very strong on smart cities, holding one of the most important events annually. I would say that it goes with integration, with, as Dr. Mohammed was exactly saying, with IoT, with AI, and with, again, personal involvement of every people. Like, Europeans are usually very conscious people. They want, that's why conscious cities is amazing. I love it. Absolutely. So they want to create a participatory economies in the cities, again, everybody taking personal responsibility, where what's happening is transparent, so everybody can go and check what's happening on the roads, where the funds are going, how the government is working. So all of that goes to smart cities. So I think it's a personal concern of every citizen. Is going to be much bigger, and because the society is quite developed, with hand in hand with the technology. And again, blockchain here for the smart city can play that role for transparency. Absolutely.
As we prepare to wrap up, I want to underline what I said yesterday if you were here. Why IPv6, the next iteration that's being advanced of IP protocol, internet protocol, is so critical to this, because it allows many more unique IP addresses than IPv4, which is capped out at about 4 billion unique IP addresses. Not enough for everyone in the world as a person, let alone all of the many connected devices that we have. This world of smart cities and IoT and Metaverse will mean many, many more. And IPv6 can generate up to 10 quintillion plus unique IP addresses for every person, animal, rock, device in the world. So everything in our lives could be data and micropayment connected, and that's why we're partnering the IPv6 forum with Bitcoin SV, BSV, to be able to power all that. So I'm going to end now with asking a question to each of you. Jad, what are some partnerships, alliances you're looking for while you're here at AIBC? Why should people talk to you?
Yeah, so I grew up in Beirut, and I'm really happy to see all of the momentum being built in the Middle East, and starting with Dubai. So anyone that wants to build anything or solve any problems that are uniquely solvable using the blockchain, I would love to offer my technical expertise and the lessons that I've learned over the years working with this technology, and hopefully we can take this region to the next level.
Right, Vasilisa.
Well, as a center, again, first of all, we're looking for anybody who is interested in a more democratic, decentralized world to join our conference in November, in 10th and 11th of November, Democracy for All, Blockchain for Governance. And as a center, we look for all types of cooperations on Metaverse including, because we have our own small Catverse, Catalan Metaverse. So if you want to help us develop it and make it bigger and more interesting, please talk to me. We actually developed several projects already with BSV and looking very much into technologies. So I really look forward to see what is going to happen with our challenges. And I can give more examples later of how BSV can actually be very scalable and work for our past projects will be much more better. So yes, basically anything related, if you're interested in the Catalan market, or if you are interested in the Metaverse in Catalonia, please reach out to us.
Dr. Mohammed.
Yeah, we're looking for more collaboration between the government, academia, and industry, which is called the triple helix. So we want to improve the collaboration and have more project and R&D to develop real cases for that can serve the community, as the examples we described today. And we have some companies who approach us to develop the platforms for them and do testing as well until the POC level, and then they can scale up and launch it into the market. So we welcome you at University of Sharjah. We have the Blockchain Research Center. If there is any need to, screen the market or want to implement something within our, university and student environment, you are most welcome.
All right, and Dereck.
I'm looking for a future where Palm Fusion is integrated all over the globe. And I'm looking for a future where the metaverse like Blockchain Valley or other metaverses are implemented in a parallel twin with the real estate projects. And I'm always looking for new projects, conscious projects of real estate all around the world where I implement the Palm Fusion, where I implement the metaverse. And last but not least, which will be announced on the 25th of this month, I'm also want to integrate a full financial platform into the metaverses and into the real estate platforms and into the biometrics.
Stay tuned for that announcement on March 25th. I'm excited for that news to become public, to see all of these people again and hear more about these and other exciting projects on the blockchain, in particular in BSV. Come join us at our BSV Global Blockchain Convention here in Dubai, the Grand Hyatt, May 24th, 25th, and 26th. You'll see all of these people again, progress on a lot of the projects they're doing with BSV, and many more people from around the world leading this effort to use blockchain for something real, good, useful data, micropayments to create a more conscious world. Let's give a round of applause to our panelists, and I hope to see you all at Dubai for our event.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you so much.